So when you first get your helmet and you're opening the box, you're going to find a helmet in a bag because it's a helmet in a box. Inside the helmet, you're going to find all your paperwork, user manual, that kind of stuff. Hello, person I don't know. Out of the box, I highly recommend test fitting your helmet, and it's probably going to fit tight like a new pair of shoes, which is a good thing. Over your first few hours of riding, it's going to wear in a little bit and kind of conform to your face. I prefer to make my padding adjustments after I've ridden in the helmet for a little while. That way everything's kind of mashed into place, and if there's still a tight spot, I'll adjust it from there. One of your first forms of adjustment is going to be in the cheek pads. In order to remove the cheek pad, you need to remove the neck roll first. Though I will say it is technically possible to remove the cheek pad with the neck roll in place. It just makes it a little easier to work around things if you remove the neck roll first. So to remove the neck roll, there's a tab at the front of the neck roll that connects into Roadrunner! Beep beep! Back on topic. Squirrel! So at the front of the neck roll, it tucks up behind the cheek pad, and there's actually a little plastic tab that will tuck in to a flap on the cheek pad to help lock it in position. Aside from that, the whole neck roll has a plastic skirt that is tucked in between the helmet liner and the helmet shell. You can pull this back to about halfway, and then after that there are 3 clips on the inside that you currently cannot see. The easiest way to get these undone without taking a chance on breaking them is to grab the inside of the neck roll and rotate clockwise or counterclockwise until it gives one direction, and that little give you feel is going to be those 3 clips coming out from underneath the retainers that are inside the helmet. From there, you can lift the neck roll out, easy peasy. As for the cheek pad removal, for that you want to reach behind the rear side of the cheek pad, and you're going to pull it toward the front of the helmet and toward the inside of the helmet at the same time. So it's going to kind of pivot around the front end of the cheek pad. After you get it popped loose there, pull it off of the strap, and you are free to go. The other side is exactly the same. Once you have the cheek pads out, you pull the cover back, you can see the layer of gray foam that is removable to help tune the helmet to your face shape. This layer is, I believe, 5 millimeters thick and somewhat replaceable should you remove it and the helmet feels loose, but keep in mind it's not going to go 100% back where it came from. Your next form of adjustment is going to be the skull cap, or the cushioned liner on the inside. And to remove this, there are 4 snaps. There's 2 at the front, 2 at the back. To get to the back one's pretty easy. Lift up the very back section of the liner. You'll see the snaps there. Just get your finger under the plastic as close to the snap as you can. Lift it and it'll come unsnapped pretty easy. For the front section, it's pretty similar. You're going to lift up the forehead section of the padding, and you'll see the black plastic shell of the skull cap with the little yellow snaps in it. Same thing here. Get your fingers underneath the plastic as close to the snap as you can, and then pull it away to unsnap it. On the inside here, you have like a temple pad on either side that is also removable. That'll give you roughly 5 millimeters of adjustment on either side. It has a couple of strips of adhesive like backing on it, attaching it to the other piece of foam. Again, I would suggest wearing the helmet for a little bit before you adjust this, because you don't want it to be really loose on your head. You don't want your helmet shaking around in the wind. Much better to have a slightly firm helmet like grandma squeezing your cheeks. Now, installation is the reverse. You'll slide everything back together, skull cap first, then cheek pads, then neck roll. When you go to reinstall the neck roll, be sure that the rear snaps click into place, and you will hear an audible click as they all go into place. After you have the rear snapped in, you can feed the liner into the sides between the inner liner and the shell of the helmet like it was. And when you get to the front, those 2 little tabs, if you lift your cheek pad as much as you can, then you can kind of slide that tab back in there. Makes it a lot easier, and there's a lot less risk of breaking stuff. The first thing a lot of people are going to want to do is to yank that visor off of there so they can either install their pin lock or change it out to a tinted visor, quite possibly. So to do this, you're going to open the visor to the fully extended position, which The Defiant X has this nifty little latch on it. You can either pull it down or push it up toward the helmet and it will unclip the latch. And then from there you just need to put a little outward pressure on the visor at the bottom and lift it all the way to the top. Once you get it to the top, the side pods have been drastically improved over the old models. Now you have two little buttons here that you push to remove the side pod, and the side pods simply clip back into place when you're done. Much better than the old style. You're a lot less likely to break things. When you push the black tabs back, it's also going to push the rivets out of the track for removal of the visor. You're going to pivot them up until the rivets line up with the red dots on the mechanism. From there you can lift out the ends. If you can't, it might be slightly hanging on the pivot point, so try sliding the front of the visor down a little bit while holding the pins in the red dot position. Once you get the visor off of there, you can install your pin lock, or if you choose to go with a tinted visor, now would be the time to install it and apply just a couple of drops of oil. I actually like to put the oil on like a Q-tip and rub it inside the slot on the visor where it's going to be moving up and down on the mechanism. This will help prevent catches and hang-ups later on. And when you go to reinstall the side pods, these will slide on. There's a little tab up top that you want to line up. That's going to come in on the top of that pivot mechanism. Once you get that in place, just a slight bit of pressure down and in toward the helmet, and these things will clip right back on. Not like the old style where you'd break them half the time getting the things on and off. So that's a big improvement over the old models. Oh man, that airflow is amazing! And this is a speed test of the wind noise in the helmet. It is actually not too bad on the ears, I will admit. I forgot to throw in earplugs before I started this ride, and it is really not bad at all. So we're going to do a real good shoulder check for this car behind us here. And that Arai helmet shape is still just as awesome as it ever was.